time to start getting specific about this stuff. It's not enough to just say fire everyone or sell the team. Time to start putting dates on this, even if it's just for no reason whatsoever. Good morning to you. Good Wednesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Cardinals 2, Pirates 1 last night in St. Louis. Another quality start from Paul Skenes gets thrown into the wastebasket. And I mean quality start as in the literal definition of that. He pitched 6 innings, 2 runs, 3 hits, 6 Ks, 4 walks. He's fine. Don't worry about Skenes. Don't even bring up anything about Skenes. If Skenes was playing for a real team, nobody'd be talking about him in any context that's any different than 2024. Okay? So take Skenes out of this and look instead at this pathetic offense, mustering 4 total hits. The Cardinals having some dude with a 4.63 career ERA, 25 years old, Matthew Liberatore, the lefty, getting to 7 innings, allowing the Pirates 1 run on 3 hits. He struck out 8 guys. It just doesn't matter who they're facing. San Diego put somebody out there who'd never pitched in the majors before Sunday at PNC Park. Didn't matter. You're going to mow these guys down because they can't hit. And not that they're in a slump. They actually can't hit. There are no flaws to this entire process that are not rooted in the broader, bigger, and infinitely more relevant concept that this is not a roster that you should be putting forth in Major League Baseball. I can make a couple of exceptions. I can say O'Neal Cruz. I can say Andrew McCutchen, and I'll mean it. I can say Brian Reynolds is in a slump. And I can't say that for any of the rest of these guys. They don't deserve that. They're not slumping. They're just not good. Ke'Bryan Hayes, who had half of his team's 4 hits, and its only extra base hit, the RBI double that accounted for the only run, had this to say to reporters in St. Louis, including our own Jose Negron.
Yeah, this is what we do for a living, so, there's no excuses. You just got to figure it out, or otherwise you lose. So, hopefully, people aren't trying to put too much pressure on themselves. The game's hard enough as it is, so we just got to get back to having fun and, just creating energy and getting things going.
Yeah, they're not slumping. They're not in a funk. They're not trying to work their way out of something. This lineup that was put together by Derek Shelton entering this game had Alexander Canario in the 5th spot. He went 0 for 3 with a K to drop his average to 122. Back when pitchers used to hit, you could make fun of a pitcher for hitting 122. But in the year 2025, in year 6 of this, whatever you'd want to call it, build, rebuild, demolition, Canario was batted in the 5th spot. Why? Not because the manager made a weird decision. It's because this is who they have. This is the team. This is the roster. This is the instruction. This is the development. This is the acquisition. This is the payroll. This is everything. This is a bad baseball team. And these people need to be fired. Not today. Not tomorrow, but 7 months ago. It's completely criminal on Bob Nutting's part that they were brought back. It's beyond inconceivable that they're still here with the team 12-25 at the moment. 12-25. So let's start picking these things out. Let's start getting real about this. They need to be fired before this upcoming homestand. And please don't get into the business of separating Shelton from Ben Cherington. At least don't do it around me. They themselves have described themselves, well, Cherington did this, as accountable together entering this season. Okay, here's 12-25. Turn in your keys, turn in your phones. There's the door. Before this brief homestand, this weekend homestand against the Braves, there's one more game in St. Louis. That's this afternoon. Mitch Keller's pitching. Regardless of how it goes, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You don't do these things on the road. You don't strand people. You come home and you get it done in Pittsburgh. You can do that right at the airport when the plane lands. You can do it on the off day. Again, that's tomorrow. But you have to get it done before the weekend set against the Braves. You have to get that done. I'm going to get more specific here. Let's say, and I'm going to be honest with you, I really don't care who the interim GM is. They need to get through a draft process, and it's not like you're going to be worried about making major trades or whatever because this season's going nowhere. But as it relates to an immediate impact, you're going to need a new manager. To me, that's Don Kelly. Fits the bill in every way. Local guy, born and raised in Mount Lebanon, speaks our language, has worked his rear end off throughout his career. He'll be just fine. And look, if he were to somehow turn the season around and he can be considered for longer term duty, awesome. But the other benefit to that is that you'll enter the weekend playing against, another bad team. Now, Atlanta's been significantly better of late. In fact, they're starting to climb back into something resembling contention after an awful start, but they're still 17-18. I guess bad is too strong. And they also have Ronald Acuna coming back and whatever, but just take it for what it is. They're not going to be one of the better opponents that the Pirates could face right now. So you make the change, you give the team and the people who are in new positions a chance to succeed right away before next week when you go to New York to face the billion-dollar Mets, and then from there, go down to Philadelphia to face the Phillies. Those are the top two teams in the NL East. That's going to be a grind and a half. But you at least allow for some good feeling to make it into the clubhouse this weekend. And to the GM thing, listen, I'm going to read off the names of the people who are assistant GMs under Cherington. Sarah Gellis is one of them. She's in her second season. She's new. Before that, she spent 5 seasons with the Astros, who actually know what they're doing. She was in a research and development role in Houston. Kevin Graves, another assistant GM, is the polar opposite in that he's been here for 17 years. He's been here through multiple administrations. He also, it should be known, was the interim GM in 2019 for a full month after Neil Huntington was fired. So he's even been through the interim GM thing. Steve Sanders is another assistant GM. He's the one who runs the draft. If you're worried about the draft, you don't have to be because you're already paying this guy and he's the one who oversees it. And looking at the rest of this list, once you start with lawyers and stuff, I really don't care. Name one of those 3 people, any of those 3 people, to that post and get moving. Get moving. That's enough. That's enough. Fire people tomorrow. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Sean, who says, DK, I was just looking ahead at the Pirates schedule. And after this series in St. Louis wraps up, the next month holds in order Braves, Mets, Phillies, Reds, Brewers, Diamondbacks, Padres, Astros, and Phillies again. I really don't see how Ben Cherington and Derek Shelton could still have their jobs at the end of that stretch. I don't see how they have them now. No, I don't see how they had them after last season. I really don't. And this isn't something that I haven't brought up in-house, meaning in their house. And ask, what were you thinking here? Like, what's the mindset here for bringing them back? Did you not pay attention to the first 5 years, or do you place too much emphasis on the COVID-shortened year? And by COVID-shortened, I don't just mean that the Major League schedule was reduced to 60 games. I mean that development was pretty much wiped out. In fact, that's mostly what I'm referring to when I say that you couldn't have minor league seasons. But still, all this time has passed. All this failure has played out right in front of everybody. No, heavy insider type hoka-hey revelations or anything like that. They just stink right in front of you, in plain sight. And nothing's been done other than changing the hitting coach twice. That's it. I mentioned the series with the Braves. I also mentioned with the Mets and the Phillies, both of those on the road in the previous segment. And you go on to mention Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Arizona, San Diego, Houston, and then Philadelphia again. This is going to get a lot worse. And if you want to say, all right, well, listen, if you feel that way, then what's the point of making a change? You might as well just leave everybody the way they are. Why stick a good guy like a Don Kelly or a potentially good future GM like a Sarah Gellis, like a Steve Sanders, like a Kevin Graves? Why stick them in interim posts where they're only going to get beaten up? To which I'll offer two answers. One is, you're being paid, so you're going to have to do this if we tell you to do this. And two, because this can't continue. This is all interwoven. You've got to understand that. If you saw Paul Skenes' face last night in St. Louis in the camera shots of him, you understand why this can't continue. You understand why there has to be some semblance of accountability at any level of anything in this organization for the players to respond appropriately. Should they be doing that anyway? Yes. Are they? No. So you've got to be proactive. Fire them by tomorrow. Not for anyone else, but for the Pirates, for what's best for you as a baseball franchise. And we can get into the whole selling the team again at some other stage. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We'll be back with another one of these tomorrow when they all get fired.